Have you ever walked into a room and instantly noticed the way someone looked at you? You heard a tiny change in someone's voice, caught an awkward smile, remembered something embarrassing you did 5 years ago, and somehow your brain connected all of it into one giant story. If that sounds familiar, you might be one of the people who are simply too aware. First, that sounds like a superpower. After all, being observant helps you understand people, avoid mistakes, and notice details that others completely miss. But what if that same awareness slowly becomes a prison? What if your greatest strength is also the reason you can't relax? Today we're exploring the psychology of people who are too aware, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why the smartest observers are often the most exhausted people in the room. Your brain is constantly collecting information. Every face, every word, every pause, every expression. Most people naturally filter out thousands of tiny details because they aren't important. But highly aware people struggle to turn that filter off. Imagine your brain is like a browser with hundreds of tabs open at the same time. Every conversation creates another tab. Every memory creates another tab. Every possibility creates another tab. Even when you're lying in bed trying to sleep, those tabs keep refreshing. That's why overthinking isn't really about thinking too much. It's about noticing too much. Here's something strange. Highly aware people usually don't trust first impressions. While everyone else quickly decides whether someone is nice or rude, they keep searching for hidden meanings. Was that smile genuine? Why did they pause before answering? Did they really mean what they said? Could something else be happening? This constant search for deeper meaning makes them excellent problem solvers. But it also creates endless uncertainty because every answer leads to 10 new questions. Psychologists sometimes call this analysis paralysis. When your brain sees too many possibilities, making even small decisions becomes surprisingly difficult. Now here's the part most people never realize. Highly aware people aren't just observing others. They're also observing themselves every second. They're watching how they stand, how they talk, how loud they laugh, how fast they reply, whether they sounded awkward, whether they made enough eye contact or maybe too much eye contact. It's like living with an invisible camera that never stops recording. Imagine having a commentator inside your head describing everything you do in real time. You spoke too quickly. That joke wasn't funny. They probably misunderstood you. You should have said something different. Most people experience this occasionally. Highly aware people experience it almost every day. The result is mental exhaustion. Not because life is harder, but because their brain never clocks out. Another surprising trait is that highly aware people often feel lonely even when surrounded by others. That isn't because nobody likes them. It's because they spend so much energy understanding everyone else that they rarely feel understood themselves. They notice emotional changes in their friends before anyone says a word. They can sense tension in conversations. They recognize fake smiles. They pick up hidden frustration. But when they're struggling internally, they often hide it so well that nobody notices. Eventually, they begin believing nobody truly understands what's happening inside their mind. And loneliness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from feeling unseen. Here's another psychological trap. Highly aware people often predict problems before they happen. That sounds useful, right? Sometimes it is. But many times they prepare for situations that never actually occur. They replay conversations before having them. They imagine arguments that never happen. They create backup plans for backup plans. Their brain believes it's protecting them. In reality, it's creating stress from imaginary situations. Ironically, the more aware they become, the less present they feel. Instead of enjoying the moment, they're analyzing it. Instead of laughing naturally, they're wondering how they look while laughing. Instead of listening to music, they're thinking about tomorrow. Instead of enjoying success, they're already worrying about losing it. Awareness slowly steals the present moment. And that's one of the biggest psychological costs. There's another hidden reason these people become exhausted. Their empathy. Highly aware people often absorb other people's emotions like a sponge. If someone around them is anxious, they start feeling anxious. If someone is angry, they sense the tension immediately. If someone is sad, they carry that sadness long after the conversation ends. This happens because their brain constantly reads emotional signals. While empathy creates deeper relationships, too much empathy can become emotional overload. Eventually, they become tired without knowing why. Not because of their own emotions, but because they've been carrying everyone else's. Here's something even more interesting. People often assume highly aware individuals are confident because they seem intelligent and thoughtful. But inside, many secretly struggle with self-doubt. Why? Because awareness reveals imperfections. The more you notice, the more flaws you see. Not only in the world, but also in yourself. They know exactly where they could improve. Exactly what they said wrong. Exactly what they could have done better. Their standards become incredibly high because they can clearly imagine perfection. And since perfection is impossible, satisfaction always feels just out of reach. This creates a cycle. They improve constantly, yet they rarely feel good enough. Now here's the twist. Being highly aware isn't the problem. The problem is believing you must react to every thought your brain produces. Just because your mind notices something doesn't mean it deserves your attention. Think of awareness like standing beside a busy highway. Thousands of cars pass by every hour. You notice them, but you don't chase every single one. Thoughts should work the same way. You can observe them without following them. This small shift changes everything. Instead of fighting your thoughts, you simply let them pass. Instead of solving every possible future problem, you focus on the one directly in front of you. Instead of constantly judging yourself, you become curious about yourself. Psychologists have found that people who practice observing their thoughts without immediately reacting often feel calmer, even though they remain just as aware as before. The awareness stays, the suffering decreases, and maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. Your awareness is not your enemy. It's a tool. Like fire, it can either warm your life or burn it down. The difference is learning when to use it and when to let it rest. So if you've ever felt mentally tired for no obvious reason, if you've replayed conversations long after everyone else forgot them, if you've noticed details nobody else seems to see, if you've felt like your own brain never stops talking, you're not necessarily broken. You're probably just carrying more awareness than your mind was ever meant to process all at once. The goal isn't to become less aware. The goal is to stop believing that every observation needs a response. Because peace doesn't come from thinking less. It comes from choosing which thoughts deserve your energy. And maybe today, for the very first time, you can give yourself permission to let a few of those thoughts simply pass by. Because sometimes, the strongest mind isn't the one that notices everything. It's the one that knows what to let go.